never saw Captain Marvel. And
so
he's
happens. Like,
And he goes, so I'm assuming those shapeshifters are brought up in another movie. I'm like, you haven't seen Marvel.
How has he not
I don't know.
What? How has he not seen any of them? Who hasn't seen all of the my parents have seen all the Marvel movies.
I'm just saying.
Jacob.
This is on you, Jake. But yeah, that's a pretty big reveal to have them not be them.
I'm intrigued by it. I like it.
And it shows that the Skrull, like, have a fleet now,
right?
Too. And a rumor being passed around online is that it's Fury and Maria Hill are off-world setting up SWORD, which is the out of solar system version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
So Sword and S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
And so that would make sense, I guess, but...
Yeah. I mean, at this point, who knows?
Right.
We've had for so long, we've had the Thanos storyline sort of building in the background, and now that it's done, who knows? Literally, who knows?
Yeah. I have a feeling the next big baddie is going to be Galacticus, which... They're going to have to focus more on the space side of Marvel.
Right.
Which would make sense for having SWORD.
Yeah, and it would make sense for sending Thor off with the Guardians and getting more people Space-word.
Space-word, yeah. Space-sword. Oh, man. I really, kind of going back to Far From Home, I really enjoyed the hologram fights.
Mm-hmm. There was
they were
one
so trippy
in the last fight where he's about to go through the
holodrome.
Through the illusion. Just do that. Where they cut the sound for like a full second right before he hit, and that was like one of the most effective choices they made in the movie.
I really appreciate how they're acknowledging all of the Spider-Man tropes and then not using them. Like, the biggest reference we have to Ben Parker is a suitcase with BFP on it.
Yeah.
And the closest thing we have to great power comes with great responsibility is heavieth the head that wears the crown. Which is Shakespeare, but I mean, it's essentially the same thing as, but they're twisting it to the point where they don't even say spider sense. It's a joke.
Peter Tingles.
It's his Peter Tingle.
Which is awful.
I love it.
Horrifying.
I absolutely love it. But like,
too much empathy with teenage boys to love that one. You've lost your roots.
It's true though. Like it was genuinely funny.
It's hilarious, yeah.
But they're not relying on the tropes, and I think they acknowledge that that's honestly why I think the Amazing Spider-Man, the Garfield Spider-Man, failed. Is one, in their second one they tried to pack way too many villains in.
But
they kept relying on the tropes of Spider-Man. And we already know the tropes. We know Ben Parker's going to die. We know all that stuff. We don't need to know that. And it was nice seeing the evolution of Spider-Man, the evolution of Peter Parker from that rather than that formation.
That was one of the best choices they made, was not telling an origin story for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, they introduced him 9 years into the MCU? You gotta assume your audience knows what happens with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Was it 9 years?
8 or 9.
Civil War?
Oh, that's right. He came in Civil War, so maybe 7?
7 years in. But still, more than halfway through.
Well, it's just giving your audience a little credit.
Yeah. Well,
and if you don't know Spider-Man, Google it. It'll be very quick.
There's a lot of source material. A ton
There's
of
a
source
lot.
material. But yeah, I really like the direction they're taking Spider-Man. And I think it's so funny how many Sony logos were in front of this. Like, you know this was all Marvel.
Right.
Because it has to be to fit into their MCU.
Right.
Like, whether it was a Marvel director, there was Marvel producers making sure the Sony
keeping everything in line.
It's like, just let them have Spider-Man. You know, just... I don't know. I'm not a big fan of monopolies, but when it comes to something that
when it's
needs
a singular...
the continuity...
It's a singular property.
Yeah.
But also... As long as Sony's willing to play nice, I don't mind seeing their logo.
That's true.
Like,
I mean, yeah. That's true.
It would be the best business decision they'd ever made to hold on to Spider-Man, but let control go to Marvel.
Right.
So to still have the property financially, but to let Marvel turn it into something successful, which they have been... They've done, but not to the extent that Marvel will do and is doing.
Yeah.
So they just hold on to the money part and go, oh, we don't know what to do, Marvel, help us. That would be their best choice. And it looks to me like that's what they're doing at this point. He's been in so many movies, and he's going to be in so many more.
Yeah, so he's been in Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame,
and Far From Home.
So he's already been in 5.
Mm-hmm. It's like a lot.
That's a ton of movies. Yeah.
Especially if they're making him their lead.
Yeah.
That's like a bigger movie deal than most of the main guys had in the start.
Which in the trailers today, when I saw it, not today, but when I saw it the other day, Holland is in the Disney pocket.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Onward.
set. Because he's now in Onward, and there was another movie another Disney animated. It was Disney animated, not Pixar. But he's in that as well. Not a main character, but he's in it. I'm trying to remember what it was. I'll look it up later. But, I mean, he's got the Disney paycheck. He's set.
Yeah. That Disney association will get you far.
Yep.
He could be in Star Wars.
He could be in Star Wars. Who knows? That would be weird.
It would be weird.
It would be very weird.
He could play the adult version of the little boy with the Jedi thing at the end of Force Awakens.
He could. He could. I'll give you that.
He shouldn't, but he could.
Let's not make this happen. But if it does, I wouldn't be too terribly upset about it. I want to talk about Mysterio's death. Which, by the way, one of the coolest death scenes ever. When he's handing out the glasses and then he grabs his invisible hand as he's about to shoot. So here's my crackpot theory. You want to put your tinfoil hat on for this one.
Okay, great.
I don't think he's dead.
I agree with you.
Well, you can take your tinfoil hat off now.
I feel like a lot of people agree with you. That's not that crackpot an idea.
Fair enough. But anyways,
Continue.
What I was going to say is, one, Edith never says he's dead. She just says that
what you're seeing is real, essentially.
There is no illusion. But they made such a big point of transferring control from Peter to Beck.
And then no deal at all about
nothing going from Beck back to Peter.
Yep. They made a really, really big deal about confirmation is needed if you do this.
And there was nothing.
Yep.
And so I think Beck is still alive and because he makes a very blatant, like, I have fail-safes or whatever. He uses a different term, but like, I have fail-safes when he's literally being held by Spider-Man, which is his leak to J. Jonah Jameson. But I think it's also he had it set up to where Edith wouldn't acknowledge illusions based off of Beck.
Maybe, yeah.
Or at least not acknowledge that he was alive or something.
Sure. I would believe it, whatever. That's a good enough plot point for me.
So, that all being said, Michael Keaton and Jake Gyllenhaal are a great start for a Sinister Six team up.
Yes, they are.
I am really excited to see who
I
they
mean,
get.
just most people, if you were to say those two are going to be in a movie together, would be excited.
Yeah. No, seriously.
That would be so much fun to watch.
Yeah. So much fun to watch. Whoever is doing the casting for the villains for Spider-Man deserves a pay raise.
Such a good job.
They are doing such a great job. And honestly, Marvel in itself, casting has been spot on.
I just can't believe they got J.K. Simmons back. It's so good.
If it wasn't in my heart, someone from Marvel or Sony was like, "Hey, you want to play J.K. Simmons in the new one?" And he was like, "Yeah."
J. Jonah Jameson.
I mean, he is J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Just like Robert Downey Jr.
No, it
is
sounds
Tony Stark.
like he definitely would want to do it based on everything I've heard from him. But it's just like to make that call and not be afraid to go back to a different series that already did this.
Right.
Like that's a move, Marvel.
That is a move. And I think Marvel had to make that move.
Yeah, it was great. I would have been disappointed to see a different J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. I would have too. I genuinely would have.
But I had literally no idea that they would bring J.K. Simmons back. But it just is the only choice once it's happened.
Apparently, it was the best kept secret that nobody kept. It was literally in the IMDb, and I had
nobody
idea.
paid attention
no one
to
paid
it.
Attention that
well, people probably thought it was a joke.
Yeah, probably.
It's not hard to edit IMDb.
That's true. That is true. But when because I didn't even pay attention to it.
Neither did I.
And so when he popped up, I was like, oh, no. Like, that probably in itself ranked up the movie, just having J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson.
And I think it was a really, really, really good move to wait till the 5th movie with Spider-Man to put him in.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed this movie.
Me too.
And watching it a second time, I liked it even more. I genuinely liked it more. And I think it beats out Spider-Man 2 for me on Best Spider-Man.
Nice.
Which might get me crucified by some people, but
not me.
They can suck it.
Eloquent.
Eloquent as always. That's what this podcast is all about, is eloquency.
That's a word.
But, I mean, to my point is, you go back to Spider-Man 2, and it's still a good movie, but a lot of things don't hold up.
Right.
And Tom Holland is just such a good Peter Parker, and he's such a good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And the support cast that they've structured around him just elevate him rather than distract.
I love Zendaya as Mary Jane.
Yes.
She's so good. That's such a fun take on the character.
She has such a perfect quirk of just slightly off. And it's great. The fact that she absolutely loathed the swinging was amazing. It's like, yep, we're not ever doing that ever again. I'm good with never doing that again. Like, that was so good. It's my favorite flower, because the murder. And the whole Betty and Ned relationship. Gosh.
So band funny. Trip, anyone? It's a very high school.
Very high school.
Very high school.
So good.
Yes.
I think really the only negative that I can think of is I felt like the teachers were a little too inept. And that got a little... draining. But that's about it. Like, other than that, the line of, as a man of science, it's witches.
Right.
I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
That was fun.
I thought that was great. They had their moments where they were phenomenal, but there was other times where I was like, okay,
sure,
this joke has been going on for a little too long. But other than that,